book is not about them. They just happened to be standing nearby while I looked for illumination, and so they cast their moving shadows. This book isn't meant to be a commentary on specific political policies, though inevitably the day's headlines, like my children and all the other notable stuff of my life, have provided for me anecdotal entry into issues of more general and enduring interest. The several pieces that open and close the book respond most directly to current events, while many of the others form a collection of parables and reveries on parts of the world that may seem at first very distant from the epicenters of global crisis. A village at the edge of a Mexican jungle, for example, or my daughter's chicken coop. I ask the listener to understand that these essays are not incidental. I believe our largest problems have grown from the earth's remotest corners as well as our own backyards, and that salvation may lie in those places too. Compiling this book quickly in the strange, awful time that dawned on us last September became for me a way of surviving that time, and in the process I reopened in my own veins the intimate connection between the will to survive and the need to feel useful to something or someone beyond myself. In fact, that is a theme that runs through the book. Writing, which was both painful and palliative for me, turned out to be my own way of giving blood in a crisis. I can only hope this unit of words will have a longer shelf life than the 42 days of a unit of blood, as this critical time blends seamlessly into the next one. I have tried to address, ultimately, things that don't rapidly change. Some of the books that helped inform my writing here would constitute a good reading list for the new millennium. Guns, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond. Eco-Economy, Building an Economy for the Earth by Lester R. Brown. Earth in the Balance by Al Gore. Shattering, Food, Politics, and the Loss of Genetic Diversity by Carrie Fowler and Pat Mooney. Stolen Harvest, The Hijacking of the Global Food Supply by Vandana Shiva. No Logo by Naomi Klein. When Corporations Rule the World by David C. Corton. Open Veins of Latin America by Eduardo Galeano. Blowback, The Costs and Consequences of American Empire by Chalmers Johnson. This Organic Life by Joan Di Gassot, and Anything by Wendell Berry. Royalties from this book will help support the work of Physicians for Social Responsibility, Habitat for Humanity, Environmental Defense, and the humanitarian aid project called Heifer International. I thank you on their behalf for the donation you've made and encourage your continued support. Internet addresses for these organizations appear in the acknowledgments. I dedicate this book to every citizen of my country who has suffered bereavement with honor, trepidation without panic, and the insult of fundamentalist condemnation without succumbing to similar thinking in turn. We may yet show the world we are worth our salt. Small Wonder. On a cool October day in the oak-forested hills of Lorena Province in Iran, a lost child was saved in an inconceivable way. The news of it came to me as a parable that I keep turning over in my mind, a message from some gentler universe than this one. I carry it like a treasure map while I look for the place where I'll understand its meaning. I picture it happening this way. The story begins with a wife and husband, nomads of the Lori tribe near Kaihan, walking home from a morning's work in their wheat. I imagine them content, moving slowly, the husband teasing his wife as she pulls her shawl across her face, laughing, and then suddenly they're stopped cold by the sight of a slender figure hurrying toward them, the teenage girl who was left in charge of the babies. In tears, holding her gray shawl tightly around her, she runs to meet the parents coming home on the road, to tell them in frightened pieces of sentences that he's disappeared. She has already looked everywhere, but he's gone. This girl is the neighbor's daughter, who keeps an eye on all the little ones too small to walk to the field. But now she has to admit wretchedly that their boy had strong enough legs to wander off, while her attention was turned to what? Another crying child, a fascinating insect. 1,000 things can turn the mind from this to that, and the world is lost in a heartbeat. They refuse to believe her at first. No parent is ever ready for this. And with fully expectant hearts they open the door flap of their yurt and peer inside, scanning the dim red darkness of the rugs on the walls, the empty floor. They look in his usual hiding places, under a pillow, behind the box where the bowls are kept, every time expecting this game to end with a laugh. But no, he's gone. I can feel how their hearts slowly change as the sediments of this impossible loss precipitate out of ordinary air and turn their insides to stone. And then, suddenly moving to the fluttering panic of trapped birds, they become sure that there is still some way out of this cage. Here my own heart takes up that tremble as I sit imagining the story. Once my own child disappeared for only minutes that grew into half an hour, then an hour, and my panic took such full possession of my will that I could not properly spell my name for the police. But I could tell them the exact details of my daughter's eyes, her hair, the clothes she was wearing, and what was in her pockets. I lost myself utterly while my mind scattered out, carrying nothing but the search image that would locate and seize my child. And that is how 2 parents searched in Lorena Province. First, their own village, turning every box upside down, turning the neighbors out in a party of panic and reassurances. But as they begin to scatter over the rocky outskirts, it grows dark, then cold, then hopeless. He is nowhere. He is somewhere unsurvivable. A bear, someone says, and everyone else says, no, not a bear. Don't even say that. Are you mad? His mother might hear you. And some people sleep that night, but not the mother and father, the smallest boys, or the neighbor's daughter who lost him. And early before the next light, they are out again. Someone is sent to the next village, and larger parties are organized to comb the stony hills. They venture closer to the caves and oak woods of the mountainside. Another nightfall, another day, and some begin to give up, but not the father or mother, because there is nowhere to go but this. We all have done this. We bang and bang on the door of hope, and don't anyone dare suggest there's nobody home. The mother weeps. The father's mouth becomes a thin line as he finds several men willing to go all the way up into the mountains, into the caves, 5 kilometers away. In the name of heaven, the baby is only 16 months old, the mother tells them. He took his first steps in June, a few weeks before Midsummer Day. He can't have walked that far. Everybody knows this, but still they go. Their feet scrape the rocky soil. Nobody speaks. Then the path comes softer under the live oaks. The corky bark of the trees seems kinder than the stones. An omen. These branches seem to hold promise. Lori people used to make bread from the acorns of these oaks. Their animals feed on the acorns. These trees sustain every life in these mountains. The wild pigs, the bears. Still, nobody speaks. At the mouth of the next cave they enter, the 4th or the 100th. Nobody will know this detail, because forever after it will be the first and last. They hear a voice. Definitely it's a cry, a child. Cautiously they look into the darkness, and ominously they smell bear. But the boy is in there, crying, alive. They move into the half-light inside the cave, stand still and wait while the smell gets danker and the texture of the stone walls weaves its details more clearly into their vision. Then they see the animal, not a dark hollow in the cave wall, as they first thought, but the dark, round shape of a thick-furred, quiescent she-bear lying against the wall. And then they see the child. The bear is curled around him, protecting him from these fierce-smelling intruders in her cave. I don't know what happened next. I hope they didn't kill the bear, but instead simply reached for the child, quietly took him up, praised Allah and this strange mother who had worked his will, and swiftly